All right, this is a long time coming. The midterm is finally done. And I'm very happy with this project. I'll go through more of like all the different files I used. Obviously, I had a bunch of stuff downloaded from previous things that I used. Mainly just ended up using what I call ghouls, which are the liches, goblins, which are whatever they're supposed to be called. They're probably goblins. So I have pumpkins, different components that are used throughout the things. I will explain these further, just kind of showing generally what it have is, what we have. We have the main menu on a second level. Let me see if I can just maximize this, which for some reason it only lets me do when I'm in the actual game. But yeah, quit button will just quit you out of it. Survive is the play button, Halloween survival game. Now I can maximize this, though I probably just get hit, so that's not very fun. The health bar you see go down gradually. It is transparent as well. There's different spawning spheres throughout the place that are spawning these different monsters. You can press F to cause this like explosion circle around you to kill different enemies. It will one-shot the ghouls. Sorry, not the ghouls. It will one-shot the goblins as they have 20 health. This does 20 damage. The ghouls have 50 health, all from the same component. You have 100 health, once again from the same kind of component. Just everybody has the health component. Everybody has the die component. It just once you go more individually into people's things, it'll actually do different things. I didn't show off quite all that exists in the place. Oh wait, oh yeah, that's right. Because this guy is kind of there to like scare you out of the place because he spawns in there. The rest are actually from spawning circles. Actually, that's not entirely true. There are 3 goblins out here automatically. As you can see, there are some spawning areas up here. The range of which you can walk up is different, so you can actually get up here on the roof. These pumpkins will heal you. I probably didn't show off that well because I haven't taken any damage yet. Notably, also, when you take damage from getting hit, you cannot get damaged for the next 2 seconds. Pumpkins will heal your health back up. I think they technically heal by 13, just because I was like, ooh, funny number. When you kill a goblin, it adds 5 to your score. If you kill a ghoul, it adds 10 to your score. Additionally, the spawning spheres have a lot of their own different components as well. I'm pretty sure they spawn a goblin every 2 seconds, but they only spawn a ghoul like every 5 or 10. I'll look into that further. Those are once again kind of the thing where it's like the same factor, but you can change it multiple times. I would have loved to get a score above 100 for this show off, but whenever you die, it brings you back to the main menu. That is fully intentional. The main menu is actually on a separate level now, and I find that to work a lot easier than having it on the same level, which is what I did back for Project 1, or I guess it's probably Project 2 by that point. By the time I was turning in with like all different screens and whatnot. There's this little area. You gotta be careful though, because they might trap you at the stairway. A fun little thing that's never really come into factor is that these goblins can technically walk up 90 degrees. I did that on purpose just to see how terrifying that'd be. But I think since there's so many gaps on this building, they just can't get up here anyway. They're of course on pawn sensing, so that's why they're following you around. They actually have really cool animation blueprints, as you saw maybe a little bit. Whenever the goblins appear, whenever the ghouls appear, they actually do a starting animation, which is like their spawning animation. Woo! Yeah, sometimes they fly when they hit into each other. But yeah, spawning animation, and then they just go. Goblins go straight into a walk animation. The ghouls kind of go into a repeating attack animation of attack left, attack right. I'll go more to that second. As you can also see on the UI for this screen, there's also just the F button, just kind of informing you that you can cause this fire circle. For some reason, some of the circles will just constantly stay around with you. I have it to where they all disappear and whatnot, but I guess the sequence can't entirely handle it that well. There was also a while where these pumpkins weren't entirely appearing on the roof, like not all the way, but it seems to be working now, so that's good. This is kind of supposed to be like your little hub where basically, all right, and you take some time to rest. You can really just spam this as much as you want, but you will probably get killed for it. Like it's a risk and reward. Like I only got 10 points out of that for killing him, where you're much better off just trying to like dip towards the goblins, kill as many goblins as possible, because these fire orbs only do damage when the explosions are happening. Technically, it's only when the spheres are visible is how it actually works through the code. Yeah, I don't. We're about to die, but like you can probably just like explode yourself as you walk out. Obviously, your explosion doesn't deal any damage to you. It's kind of just supposed to be your power. I think there's about 8 spheres technically because it's sphere and then sphere 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are about out of pumpkins. I had considered having pumpkins also spawn in, but I think that was unnecessary. You kind of have to limit yourself. It is a survival game, of course. And we've probably used all the pumpkins now. Ooh, there we go, up to 150 just because there were so many goblins there. These guys don't even know what they're doing. And there they go. Alright, F11, because we're currently in the other thing. Start showing stuff off. I don't know why I clicked fire as all things to open up. That's just a PNG. Let me open this up. I have most things open. I'll go through anything else I don't have open in a second. Let me just move over menu game mode, because this is just something I kind of had to create for the sake of main menu being on a separate level to not really mess with your controls in any other way. Halloween Survival main menu has 2 buttons. Has a decent bit of code. I've used a lot more comment boxes. This is one of the places I didn't use the comment boxes because there's so little here. Play button, quit button's pretty obvious. Unclicked, event construct, still just more mouse controls, have the mouse always there so it doesn't disappear when you have to click somewhere else on accident. Unclicked, basically gives over controls to the player. Game starter is just something that actually kind of spawns in the main menu on like the title screen game mode, title screen level. Health bar, percentage bar, orange, purple is kind of just the theme. F button. If I was going to export this to like a touchscreen thing, I'd probably have it to where you could click that or something. And you could also do the explosion. The ghouls might have quite a bit. Same with the other things. I'll pull up. Once I'm done with the ghoul, I'll pull up their animation keyboards as well. Let me just move over Goblin Alive. There's no reason for them. I had the order of this change earlier. I guess when I reopened it, it didn't reopen in the same order I had. Because next thing I was going to go over is just health component, which is very much the same thing I had before. Crit health is something I have used a lot. It isn't really being shown anymore, like when you're doing stuff. It's just kind of cool to let you know that the attacks and damages are happening. It'll print out the HP or something. Take damage, pretty standard. Deleting health from someone. Heal. Getting your health back, mainly just used with the pumpkins in all honesty. Update UI. Actually not utilized at all anymore. I was able to consolidate more information without having to use that as we used previously. Death. The live function doesn't do anything, just it was there. I had ideas back in the old assignment, it just never came to fruition. Die, destroy target actor. A lot of the actors have their own separate things they do when they're on destroyed. Guess we might as well start with the goblin. Just to give you a general idea. This one doesn't have too much additional stuff. Trying to see if this one actually does anything. Because this might have just been things I had just in case I needed them. Because we ended up using something else. We used this pawn sensing instead for how it gets to you. If you can see enemy, it'll move to your location. At least it'll try to. They have a movement speed. Like the goblins and the ghouls have different movement speeds than normal. They're both pretty slow. Just so when things get spawned in, basically just the additional ones that come from the spawning spheres gives them their default controllers so they can actually move and do stuff. Damage from attack. This is so when they, I believe it's so when they deal damage to you. Yes. So it's whenever they hit you, they will cause a certain amount of damage. The damage amount's also on a variable, so I could change it if I need to. Right now they're set at 20. This originally would connect to like a print health component, but I kind of cleaned up things a little bit. Add score when killed, basically on destroyed, they'll add to a variable that the player has called score, which then updates the UI. Same with like obviously their health, which is only going off the player. Goblin Alive, honestly, basically the same thing. Kill score just is a 5 instead. Generally the same stuff going on. Damage on attack. Pawn sensing. I don't even have the second one here because I just copy pasted from the other ones. Like, yeah, once I have things figured out how I wanted them to work. Oh boy. This one has a lot, but it's purely just because of the spheres. The spheres that I added around the player to have them explode and do damage is literally everything else. Event destroyed. Boom. Open level. It opens the title screen. For a while, I had that as a variable just because I knew for a while while I was in testing, I was going to have it just reopen the level for later use and more consistent use. This that. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Let's look at this first. It's simple. Event begin was kind of just giving you more controls, adding your health bar and whatnot to the viewport, just adding that section of UI, which is health bar, the F button, score. Speaking of the F button, it's a very long sequence because it kind of just goes duration, delays. Basically, the process will become, has first sphere explode, first sphere becomes visible, explosion. First sphere becomes invisible. Well, sorry, a slight delay. Sphere becomes invisible. New sphere becomes visible. Explosion. Repeat the process of this like slight delay just to have the explosion go around in a more perfect circle as the delay keeps happening. Should have it zoomed in a little bit so you guys can still see. But a sphere becomes invisible, new sphere becomes visible, explosion, delay, kind of a repeating process of that. Last one becomes invisible again. And then this one is kind of just, it'll be the same. This one's the same exact thing for all of them, basically, just for on component hit, each individual sphere, still on a sequence thing. The sequence is really just so if it's the ghoul or the goblin, so it'll function against the ghoul or the goblin. And then they each have a fire damage variable, which all do the same thing. It's just 20, but it makes it easy if I wanted to go back and balance out the damage that was being dealt. Last thing I have pulled up before I pull up more things is the pumpkin. Originally, I had a healing item component, but I really couldn't get that to work. It seemed like it was trying to go through too many processes at that point. To try to cast it then to the pumpkin, to then cast it afterwards to the player. But here it's pretty simple. I basically did what I did for the last game. Healing amount is once again a variable, just making things easier on me. 13, had it at 14 everything because that's my favorite number. Heals that to the target player, being the third person. It just also destroys the pumpkin wherever it touches the player. I've done everything from this area, which is much stuff. Unique blueprints. Attack range was something that also has like a cool idea, but it just never worked out. Death, we've seen. Cool animations. I might as well also just pull up goblin animations because they're basically the same thing. They're a bit different in the way they work, I'm pretty sure, but these just animation graph kind of stuff. I think there might actually be stuff on the event graph still too. Oh yeah, there's a decent amount on the event graph, which is the event blueprint play and getting the blueprint to update, kind of a vector length. This is just so actually because speed was a very important thing for a while. Because basically there's going to really be like if they're moving, they're doing this animation, getting the pawn owner, kind of just giving it to the person, summoned. Now we go over to the animation graph, which the main only important thing is really the state machine. Basically, entry, summon, it does the summon animation. Then for this one, it repeats back and forth between attack left and attack right, trying to give a smoother animation. Goblin. Event graph, once again, looking the exact same. At least the same logic and everything going throughout it. The ghoul was the first thing done. It was a bit more complicated at first, but once it got kind of just stuck in a loop of attack animation, I was like, all right, that works for me. Animation graph. Summon, and then it goes into the walk/fly, which is just his running animation. The namesakes were pretty just consistent, so I could cut paste the namesakes. Because for a while, the trees were the exact same before I started altering them a little bit. But yeah, oh, spawn enemies, something we haven't looked at yet. Very similar to what I used last time on a previous thing, but I really like how this kind of thing works. You'll see certain things are promoted to variable, name of the enemy was promoted to variable, which allows the spawning sphere, as is number of enemies, spawn delay. Number of enemies, if I had more than one, it kind of leaves enemies really close together because obviously their speed and whatnot's the same. If I randomize their speed a little bit, I guess that could change things, but it also makes them then inconsistent to each other. But yeah, spawn delay is a variable that would constantly change. Enemies, one that could constantly change, even when on the main screen. If I wanted to, I could probably change the amount the pumpkins heal individually on the screen, but I never did that. And then the windmill is just something simple. I guess I didn't show all that off, but in the game, but it just has a simple rotate movement on it. I'll just show that off real quick, just because I really like that. I'm not gonna go into full screen for it, but there's a little windmill over here, slowly rotating. I was very happy with that. Got this wheat kind of foliage, which I use a foliage brush for. But yes, the main things that were just really copied over between multiple players or multiple things. The health, goblins have that, ghouls have that, you have it, you all have the same one, so you all have the same death. Let me just bring this level over. File, open level, favorite levels, third person map. Yeah, pumpkins are all over the place. They're all the same, but differently rotated. There's spawning spheres all around. This is one of them. See if I can get details on that. Yeah, so you'll see spawn delays, 5 seconds, number of enemies, 1. Enemies, goblin alive. The ones here on the roof, 10 seconds, number of enemies, 1. Ghoul alive. And then there'll be kind of a variety of the different spawning spheres that are all throughout here. There's quite a few. One over here, one on the other side of the roof, and then I'm pretty sure one further away. We also use a cool sky dome. That's just, I like animation style because I am a game art animation student. So a lot of the more artsy fartsy things were interesting to me. Mainly also because of the construction for these kind of things. You really had to actually piece them together, which is probably why there's not as much as there could be. Also, for the barn, it was because it would start blocking out a lot of the light. I was trying to just get like a quick zoom around so you can see that the ghoul is back here. It is technically in a spawning animation, so it actually spawns when it's spawning. The animation makes it go through the earth basically, so it kind of begins underneath the ground. Nice little sky sphere, making this all cool. But honestly, I'm so much happier with this than the previous thing. And throughout this, I actually really learned how to have menus work and have everything like that. Oh, it's so much easier than it could be. Well, than it was before. I guess I didn't show a couple things that I just remembered. Namely, health bar. Health bar I never pulled up. Because although it's basically the same as before, just the way I had the graph works is so much easier. Because I don't have to really go into a lot of them to get the information anymore. I don't have to have update UI on other things. I just have to have them. Oh, UI is visible to get the text for the percentage. It is just cast a third-person player, get player character, target score, score double returns over here as the percentage, or sorry, as the number for the score. Because you'll constantly keep getting more scores as you kill things, so therefore that updates it automatically. Get percentage, cast a third person character, boom. Target health, well, your health, current health, max health, divide, boom. You don't have to worry about having an update UI section in the health component because you can just specifically go to your health component to begin with. Sure, I guess it gives it more possibility to update UI, has UI function is useful, but in a game like this where you're not having multiple players or anything, this is all you need and it makes it so much easier. I'm very happy with how this game turned out. I know it took me forever to do, but I'm honestly, ironically, two of the games I'm most proud of throughout my time here was a pixel art game that was also kind of a survival. We constantly keep summoning more enemies. Technically, that was running on like a Hydra function, to where it was like if you kill one enemy, it spawns 2 more of them. There really is no reason not to just spam F in this game, honestly, other than just not blocking your own view. Or you could try to use it more smartly because it is only active as an attack when the spheres are when the spheres are technically visible. I don't even think they count as visible to themselves if they just accidentally stayed there. But yes, the game works so well. So well. Also, I guess I made a quick slight thing to the game mode settings to where it opens you on the title screen level instead of the main map, which perfection. Overall, I'm very happy with this game. Yes, it took me longer than it should have to get out. Yes, I probably put like 13 or so hours in just this week just to finish it up. And I will be moving on to the final, and hopefully that works out just as well as this has for me.